Hey guys, today's episode of the Android Guy Weekly is coming to you a day later than it normally would. The reason for that was a family emergency. Now, I'm not going to tell you all the details about what happened, but I would like to share some things that I learned about how technology can help what I wish I would have done to be more prepared with my Android-powered smartphone. Let's go take a look. So we're going to talk about two kinds of emergencies to prepare for. One that involves you, where you can't answer for yourself. The other one that involves someone else, where you are there answering medically relevant questions for them. It would be a good idea if you had a bunch of information so you could answer those questions accurately. So in the first scenario, let's say you've been in a car crash. You're unconscious. First responders are on scene. They know who you are because they've checked your driver's license, but they don't know who to contact and they don't know if you have any allergies or anything that they should be aware of. What do? Well, there's your smartphone. They pull it out, they look at it. They might not have an Android. They might use an iPhone. They might have an old feature phone or Windows phone. They've got to open up your phone, find your contacts app, I hope it's somewhere close, find your ICE in case of emergency contact that hopefully you've put in there, and then make a call. Now, that's an awful lot of assumptions, and honestly, they can figure it out. My 4-year-old can figure out any smartphone out there. So they can figure it out, it's just going to take time. Time that they could spend giving attention to you or treating you in a manner that was more consistent with what you needed. For example, they might not know that you're allergic to penicillin until they find that person, call them, get a response back that you're allergic to penicillin. Not a good situation. There's another problem with that. In addition to the difficulty in finding it with all the different ecosystems of phones out there today, I've got a lock screen on my phone. Unless they know my code, they can't even get into my contacts to find me in case of emergency. Do you have a lock screen? And did you consider that? If you do, or even if you haven't, here's what I'd recommend. On Android-powered devices, and this I'm showing you with Ice Cream Sandwich, on your lock screen, you can go in and set up owner information. It's under security, and you can put in your owner information. Now, it doesn't have to be owner information. It can be anything you want. It can be the Declaration of Independence. I don't think you have enough characters for that, but it can be anything. In this case, I put in a person's name, their relation to me, a phone number where they can be contacted, and a list of my allergies. Now, this wasn't specific to me, this was just for an example, but you can see where I'm going with that. Without even having to know how to use my phone, they turn it on, they see my lock screen, they know all that information right there, no problem. Your phone probably has something similar that you can use to help speed up the process of knowing about any allergies or any medical conditions they should know about and contacting someone who can speak for you while you're incapacitated. So there's that part. The next part, and this is what happened to us. We had a family member who's an older gentleman, and he had a medical emergency in the middle of the night. And we were in the emergency room all day long. All day long. He's okay and stable now, but it was a little bit scary. What it was good that we had was my wife had her Android-powered phone. It was a Galaxy Nexus with her. And when the nurses were asking, what medications does he take? Well, in this case, this particular individual, because of some health history in the past, takes literally dozens. Yeah, over 30 medications that they need to know about before they start putting an IV drip with medication and whatnot into him. They need to know if anything is going to counteract or interact adversely with what this individual is taking. Well, luckily, my mother-in-law had a piece of paper in her purse that had this information on it, but it was several months out of date and inaccurate. My wife, on the other hand, had an up-to-date list on her phone. See, she's the one that keeps this list, and she sends a copy over, and my mother-in-law prints it out and puts it in her purse. Well, in this case, she had an old copy in her purse, but my wife had this up-to-date copy on her phone. She was able to pull her phone out. She had it stored in an email. Not a good idea, and I'll get to why. And she was able to say, no, that's wrong. This many milligrams, this many times a day. Worked out great. He also has had a significant medical history. heart problems and whatnot. A defibrillator's been implanted in his chest. He's got multiple stents, gastrointestinal issues. Doctors need to know this before they start treating. You know, if his heart were to stop then and they were to put paddles on him, that would be bad if they didn't know about his defibrillator that was implanted. Be doing two things. It's doing the job, they're doing the job, problems. So she has a list of all of his major medical procedures, operations, and complications that he's had in the past, going back for decades. Again, in an email. Not a problem, but it's better than nothing. It was there, it was readily available. She could read it back to the nurse put it into the computer, everything was fine, everything was happy, some complications were potentially avoided. But what if this would have happened out in the middle of nowhere where data coverage was very, very spotty or non-existent? She can't get to the cloud to get this document, to get this email, whether that's Google Docs, whether that's Dropbox, whether that's just storing it in Gmail and doing a search. Okay, even if you have very slow, but you still have data connection, it's just very slow, doing a search and finding that email is going to take a long time. That might be time you don't have. Save this as a PDF or as some other kind of text document local to the device so you can refer to it whenever, with or without data coverage. Okay, so that's my software tips for you. Hardware tips. She was on the phone all day, calling relatives, contacting people, contacting doctors, yada, yada, yada. She has an extended battery for her Galaxy Nexus. Luckily, she did. When I got there, she was down to 12%. If she hadn't had that extended battery, she would have been dead. Well, the phone would have been dead. Probably a poor choice of words in this context. But I was able to get there with a charger. So one, extended battery, a good investment if your phone will allow it. Second, carry a charger with you. Guys, if you carry a bag, put it in your bag. If not, put it in your car. Ladies, if you carry a purse, put it in your purse. If not, put it in your car. Someplace where you've got a spare charger so you can plug in when needed. Okay, last topic. A lot of hospitals say no cell phones allowed. You know what? That's fine. Airplane mode. Just go into airplane mode, say pink, and there you go. I'm on airplane mode. My signal isn't interfering with your equipment, so I'm just here reading off this as if it's an ebook at this point. Most administrators are going to be just fine with that. Then when you need to make and receive phone calls, you can step outside, exit airplane mode, and make those phone calls, get those emails, send those texts, anything that you need right there. Okay, so I apologize for having the episode out a day late. Couldn't be avoided in this case, and I learned an awful lot from it, and hopefully you learned something from my experience so you'll be better prepared in the unfortunate event that this might happen to you or someone that you know and love. Again, I hope not, but if you're prepared, it'll be a much better experience for you, and hopefully it will turn out better than it would otherwise. Kind of a somber episode today. I apologize for that. If you have other tips in this type of situation, please let us know in the comments. Again, this episode is all about you guys. The conversation starts with you. So keep it up. Let us know in the comments. If you like hearing this kind of information, please give the video a big thumbs up. Head over to pocketnow.com to read the associated article and keep up to date on other news and tips as well. For Pocket Now and the Android Guy Weekly, I'm Joe Levi.